Welcome back to the ProSource podcast. Today's episode is all about breaking down bathroom vanities. We are super excited because we have one of our own very own Trade Pro members, Alison Gibson. She is the talented owner and interior designer behind AMG Interiors. Alison graduated with her interior design degree in 2015. And after working in the design world a little bit, she decided to launch her own design company in 2018 called AMG Interiors, and it's based in Virginia Beach. They specialize in both residential and commercial projects, including homes, hotel lobbies, storefronts, and restaurants. She has very high expertise in the interior design world. She offers everything from floor plan suggestions to 3D renderings, furniture selections. She collaborates a lot with ProSource to help her clients fulfill their dream space. She's also proficient in CAD, and she has certifications in staging and green design. She's a very passionate individual, and I had a great time talking with her today. So enjoy the episode and come with us as we break down vanities. Alison, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Awesome. If you don't mind, maybe just share a little bit of history about yourself. How did you get into interior design, and what made you want to start your own business with it?
Sure. So I started going to school for physical therapy assistant, and I ended up just not really loving it. It didn't feel right. So the college I was at had a green design class, which really took my interest. So I started taking some interior design classes, and I immediately knew this is exactly what I want to do. I loved every facet of it. And so after I graduated, had multiple jobs in the industry and realized that I can kind of take all my knowledge and, build something for myself. So I started my business about 7 years ago, and I've been loving it ever since.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So today's episode, we're talking all about bathroom vanities and really looking forward to talking about this topic with you. It's something that I think is initially overlooked probably in the design process. You can chime in there, but I feel like for me, it's not something I would first think about. I bet homeowners are probably thinking first about maybe the countertops or the flooring or the walls. When homeowners are looking into a bathroom remodel and they're evaluating storage and function, in your experience, what have you seen in the bathrooms of previous clients that might lead them to replacing their vanities during that remodel?
So as you mentioned, a lot of people focus on tile and things like that. So typically, once all of those are in, people tend to gravitate anything that's new. People tend to gravitate towards what's not new. So I would say the main thing is to just kind of update the space, have it all feel fresh and new. Would be the main thing, kind of catering to the new aesthetic that they're gravitating towards. But another big reason is better functional needs. Whether it's more storage, more specified functional storage, things of that nature. Those tend to be the two main reasons for it.
For sure. Yeah, I feel like every space in the house, people are looking just for more storage. Anywhere
Absolutely.
they can fit more stuff.
Yeah.
What about having a new vanity? What does that mean to a homeowner? You mentioned the storage. Do you see a lot of people gravitating more towards function and storage, or more for aesthetic, or maybe somewhere in between?
I definitely think there's somewhere in between, and it also depends on the space. So typically for primary bathrooms, I think function and storage is the main thing. When you're having kind of the hall bathrooms or guest bathrooms, I think it tends to be more aesthetic. But as far as what it was a new vanity mean to somebody, I mean, every morning and every night, you're brushing your teeth, you're right there. And I feel like design, sometimes the beauty is in the mundane. We can make those things more pleasant. I mean, we all know what it's like to see something that you don't like all the time and how that can kind of affect you. So I think having a space, especially when you're kind of waking up and going to bed, be as peaceful and something that you really enjoy is a huge psychological edge, really.
Yeah, and I didn't really think about that until I started working at ProSource and I learned a little bit more about home remodeling. But yeah, the space you have around you does affect you.
Yeah,
And I don't think people realize that as much.
definitely.
Measurements do play an important role in the new vanity that homeowners select. And I'm sure that you go in or someone you're working with will go in and take measurements for the space to decide what kind of vanity they can put in there. What are some common misconceptions about measuring for a new vanity that you might be able to clear up for any homeowners listening?
Sure. Yeah. Typically, I am the one going in there and
Okay,
taking measurements so I can do floor plans, things like that.
cool.
And I know that even for me, for starting out, it's kind of scary. Like, don't want to
Yeah.
mess up the measurement, and of course, being as accurate as possible never hurts. But, I think some people get a little intimidated too with that. We have
Yeah.
fillers. So typically, it's not as daunting, I think, as people take it to be. And also sometimes the scale, they're not sure on if it's too small or too big. So those are some things that are a little bit easier, and especially, whether working with a designer or ProSource consultant,
Yeah.
they can kind of help give some guidance on that, on just how
Yeah.
it'll fit in the space. But yeah, I think measuring is always scares people, and it's not as scary as it seems.
Yeah. What are the fillers you were mentioning? What is
So
that?
basically, on the ends of the cabinets, let's say,
Mhm.
whether it's even if it's open or if it's in a nook, those things kind of help give a little bit of space to, if there are, like, no wall really is ever perfectly straight. So it kind of helps with those details and making sure the finished product is really clean and fresh.
Okay, cool. I didn't know that. How do organizational features within the vanity play a factor in the selection process? We already kind of touched about that a little bit. Are you seeing, so when I think of a vanity, I think of just your typical like mirror and then, you have the sink and the drawers underneath. Are you seeing that there is popularity more in like the mirror that pulls out and then there's storage behind the mirror? Um, or are you seeing the typical like traditional type of vanities come back in the style?
I definitely see more of the traditional vanities
Okay.
in style, and just kind of having a place for everything. So really being
Yeah.
intentional. And that really does help dictate the design too. And that's
Mhm.
when you can really kind of cater to the individual, which is kind of exciting. That's always a
Yeah.
new, different challenge. And again, on the space as well. So you may have a client who has a lot of makeup and they need a lot of, you know, small drawer storage versus full doors.
Yeah.
Those things kind of help when you get to the inside like components and the a la carte items you can kind of add. That's when you can
Yeah.
kind of get really specific, which with each individual client. And you may have somebody that's like, no, I just want full doors, but I want pull outs, so you can really cater individually, which is kind of cool.
It's talking about countertops. That's a huge part of a vanity. Is it typically separate from the vanity itself, or are you seeing them all in one piece? The
Yeah,
countertop.
typically I always go separate. I know some people can like order online, things like that, but you never know exactly what you're going to get. You never know the quality. You may see a photo, but it comes out different. And so I always
Yeah.
try and just, remodeling's not easy. It's hard to go through, and you want to eliminate as many unknowns as possible. So
Yeah.
typically the process is once the vanity is installed, the fabricator will come out, they'll take measurements of the cabinet and create a template. And from the template, you basically get a full layout and you know exactly what you're going to get. And then the install comes. And it's a really smooth process. What I like about it is whether you're going, depending on the scale, you may need a full slab or what have you, or even a remnant piece, which can end up saving money sometimes too. But you know exactly what you're going to get. So it's just smooth sailing from there.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's probably way more customizable doing it all separately. So you can
Definitely.
really get what you're wanting
And
in your
sometimes too,
bathroom.
you can find, there may be a beautiful stone piece, that's a remnant that's just left over that you get a steel for that has so much character and beauty. So you can really kind of get lucky sometimes with that too.
Yeah. Absolutely. When it comes to plumbing, that has a whole list of areas to watch for. I'm sure that's just probably as intimidating as the measurements, right? Is the plumbing. A lot of people
Yeah.
don't want to mess with that part of it. Um, why is it vital to choose a vanity that can stand up against water and moisture for that the bathroom creates?
I mean, kind of for, the most obvious
Yeah.
reasons. Any heaven forbid there is a leak, but that it happens. Stuff happens.
Yeah.
And so, if you have an MDF or a particle board or anything, even like a plywood interior, if water gets in there, it's going to get waterlogged and it's really going to
Yeah.
deteriorate, cause mildew, mold. So you really want to choose something that has a good barrier. and good protection from the water elements because it is in a water area. And I mean, even on the outside, we're talking kind of on the inside right now, but on the exterior
Mhm.
too, you shake your hands with water, all of those things. You want a good, like a veneer or even a good solid paint to kind of help give some barrier so you don't have to
Yeah,
be
what
scared. Yeah.
for sure. What are some of your go-to like brands, products that you suggest to clients and work with to, I guess, combat against some of those problems that could rise?
So I really like Yorktown Cabinetry. They're one of the tops. They're, a vendor that I use from ProSource a
Yeah.
lot. So typically I kind of start with quality cabinets because they kind of take care of that all for me, really. So
Yeah.
I think investing in quality is the best way to kind of
Mhm.
combat those issues.
For sure. Yeah. Yorktown looks super sharp too. Every
Yeah,
time I go
Dura's a
by
good
them in the
one. Yeah, Dura's a good
yes.
one
Yeah.
too. Yeah, so those are
Yeah.
kind of my main go-to brands. So that's pretty much how I try and combat that is just going with quality.
Yeah. And probably from trial and error what brands to stick with.
Definitely makes a difference.
So in your experience, how have you seen ProSource assist your clients in choosing the vanity right for their bathroom?
Well, kind of speaking on Yorktown and Dura in
Yeah.
particular, of course, they have multiple great brands at ProSource. So I would
Yeah.
say the biggest assist has been being able to find whatever it is that I'm envisioning for this client. I have
Mhm.
so many different styles that people like, so many different functional needs, whether it's a slab door that's a glossy finish or something really traditional. You really get a wide variety. So I think having anything that I can think of and come up with, I can find it. So that's been a huge assist to not, make it a difficult process to get something, like a nice vanity. So that's been, yeah, great selection.
Having as many options to choose from. And I know even
Absolutely.
having like an account manager that can do some of that work and finding specific pieces too that you're looking for definitely
Absolutely,
helps
or
a
and
lot.
even just the process of it all too, like
Yeah.
having the renderings to kind of, I do my own, but having this
Yeah.
specific, with the fillers and all of those little details that, you know, they can kind of show and give an idea of exactly the
Yeah.
cabinetry plans. That's huge too. Sending those off to my
Absolutely.
contractor, it just really makes everything a lot easier.
For sure. In your experience, what are homeowners looking for in new countertops as part of their new vanity? What are some like current recent trends or what are you seeing that your clients are asking for in a countertop?
I would say there's probably two main things that I've kind of got a lot of recently. I mean, we
Mhm.
it's no new situation here, but quartz, the
Yeah.
man-made, durable, fresh, kind of that Calcutta gold look. That's pretty popular and classic.
Okay.
People just want no maintenance, especially in a water area. Don't have to worry about sealing it. But on the other
Mhm.
hand, I've been getting a lot of people kind of want some stone too. So it's kind of
Okay.
been it's been a little bit of a duality recently. And again, that's typically
Yeah.
more so for guest spaces, where they want that natural texture and finish. But typically, when people are going with stone, they want a little bit more drama. I've noticed, at least my clients
Yeah.
have. Yeah, so I have
Yeah.
one where we're doing a Cristallo blue. It's got, we're going to actually have it glow. And so
Oh,
it has
wow.
beautiful blue veining. So something that's really striking and impactful. So those are kind of the
Yeah.
two.
Yeah, no, I do like the stone look. It definitely is a little bit more maintenance, like you mentioned,
Yeah.
but it creates a whole like aura, like a whole like a vibe to it.
Oh, yeah.
And that's in right now having that like natural bathroom look.
Yeah.
We've talked about it previously on the podcast, but people making their showers look very much like it's outside, but it's not. So
Definitely.
they're having like the stone in the bottom of the showers too. Um, so yeah, I've definitely seen that as well, that rise in popularity.
Yeah, people
Uh,
I think want those natural elements just to feel a little bit closer to nature.
yes.
There's just something that kind of gets you immersed when you're experiencing something like that. And you can't really rival a natural material as far as finish when you touch and feel it. You can tell a difference. Both are really awesome selections. So, but yeah, it's kind of exciting to see the stone coming back a little bit more because it's just
Yeah,
so beautiful and
it
so unique.
is.
It's one of a kind. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When it comes to having installation materials and all in one place, How does ProSource help make the job easier for you when it comes to installation supplies?
Yeah, so we kind of touched a little bit on fillers and things like that, but fillers, scribe, basically all the trim pieces, those are really helpful. So I'll sit down with the ProSource employee and kind of weed out those details. Exactly what trim do we want? We're getting a good plan as far as when install comes. Everybody knows what to expect. Your contractor's not texting you like, "Hey, what filler are we doing?" Or it's very clean and easy. So I like how I can kind of select all of those, weed them out with my client beforehand. So again, when install comes, it's smooth sailing.
Yeah, it's already done. You don't got to worry about it.
Absolutely, because that's one of those things that can hold up something, and
Yeah.
you want to get it right, and so you kind of have the flexibility with variety of options, but also the being able to plan is really good.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. What would you say to a homeowner that's looking to replace their vanity while going through a bathroom remodel?
Quality. Go with
Quality,
quality.
yeah.
It's
That's the theme for
it's
sure.
I mean, because again, we talked about durability, long term, having water exposure, even just day in and day out, you do use it a good amount, typically at least
Yeah,
morning and night minimum. So
absolutely.
you want something that is going to hold up. And then another thing too, I would kind of play up on texture. I think that's
Yeah.
another way to really add some life into a space.
Hmm.
And so texture and quality, I think, are kind of my go-tos when it comes to
Yeah,
selecting and replacing a vanity.
for sure. Yeah, this isn't on the questions sheet, but looking into like 2025, what are your predictions, I guess, on trends
Mm.
with vanities or just the bathroom in general that you
I
can
do
think of?
think we're kind of getting into more color again. I think we've
Yeah.
had the gray phase, and we've kind of had like the soft neutral beige warmer phase, but I think people are starting to go a little bit more bold, a little bit more crazy. So I kind of predict heavier wood grain textures, or even just funner, more bold pops of color. I think it's going to come back.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm
Yeah.
here for it too. I like the bold colors. I think
I
it
think
makes it a little
so.
bit more interesting.
It's fun, it's playful, and just things can get kind of so serious in life sometimes, and
Yeah.
I think people are wanting to kind of escape in their own safe space sometimes, and have it reflect their personality a little bit more.
Thank you
Great.
so much for joining and sharing your expertise with all of us. And I know you're super busy, so I appreciate you taking some time out of your Monday morning
Yeah, no,
to
thank
share your
you. Thanks
thoughts
for having me.
on this topic. Awesome. Thank you so much, Allison. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you.
You too. Bye.
Thank you for joining us today on the ProSource podcast. Please like and subscribe to us wherever you get your podcast. Also, follow us on social media, check out our website at prosourcewholesale.com, and visit your local ProSource Wholesale showroom for all of your home remodeling needs.